WagerTalk Today. Kelly Stewart here, filling in for Andy Lang. We hope he is feeling better, and he will be back with you guys next week. On the docket today, we got Gianni The Greek. He's coming up with the Steam report. We're going to do a little around the world. Yesterday, we didn't get into it as much because we were running behind, but some of those free picks over there on the free pick page. Kyle Anthony's coming in to talk Vegas 107. We got 2 fights over here with him for the UFC. And then Teddy Covers coming in, talk game 6. Can't believe the Pacers just didn't even try last night. And then, of course, we got a couple of baseball games. And to talk about what we're going to be doing for the opening line report, which starts next Monday morning. And Andrew Babakitis from the Westgate SuperBook for some UFC. Jump in the comments section. I finally figured out yesterday how to get them going. So wish us well, because we're going to have a great time today and try not to fall asleep during baseball. Let's bring in Gianni The Greek, one of my favorite guys for a look behind the computer screen. Always bright and early there on the West Coast. What's up, VR?
Iron on some college baseball. Let me give you 2 free plays right now. They go off at the top of the hour. So I don't know if these guys could get them in. We just bet over 16 on Binghamton versus Georgia. That's the Athens Regional. Binghamton versus Georgia, over 16, good to -125, and under 11.5, Holy Cross, North Carolina. That's the Chapel Hill Regional. Under 11.5, Holy Cross, North Carolina, good to -135. If you can't find 11.5, under 11 is good to -110, 115. So that's under in Holy Cross, North Carolina, over in Binghamton, Georgia. And I just released the 3% to subscribers. That's on my page for free as well. So I got 3 more college baseball I'm going to send to subscribers, and one of them is going to be up on my page. So head on over to Wager Talk. You'll get that for free.
Very nice. Very nice. I just saw that Matt Grissom was on Ariel Epstein's The Prop Queen show. He gave out my Kansas State Wildcats and also said he liked West Virginia. Did you see either of one of those teams from a college baseball perspective come across your computer screen?
No, we're doing game by game.
Okay.
None of like who's going to win the regional, who's going to win the World Series. We rarely get any future bets in the college baseball. It's always game by game. And I'd say 75% is on the totals, very few on the sides, mostly totals.
All right. So the Stanley Cup is set. We have the Edmonton Oilers and, of course, the Florida Panthers. Let's see if a Florida team can't win for the 7th year in a row, VR. Yeah. You guys seeing anything as far as a futures bet, maybe a game 1 bet? I know those are starting to populate up on the odds logic screen.
Florida money right away. As soon as that series was set, as soon as that line went up, immediate money on Florida. Rarely do you get that much like one-sided on a series, especially when it's near a coin flip. It's not like they're the 2-to-1 favorite or anything like that. They're actually the dog in game 1, and they're getting all the money so far. Like, I haven't seen any Edmonton money. It's all Florida for the series. It's all Florida in game 1. So I think when all the dust settles, the books are really going to need Edmonton to show up. I think it's going to be a tougher series. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for Florida. I think Edmonton's going to give them some problems for sure.
All right. Anything you're seeing as far as game 6 goes? As I mentioned to start the show, like Pacers just didn't even seem to care last night, keeping the Knicks alive here.
Yeah, and I kind of laid off. I have the Pacers for the series. I kind of thought yesterday was a letdown game for them, so I stayed off it. In fact, historically, those teams didn't do all that well in that spot. But it's this game 6 where the series usually ends. Very few times in this round of the playoffs does the road team, like Indiana is for the series, win game 1 and game 2 on the road. It happens very rarely like they were able to do. Those teams go on to win the series like at a high rate. And this game 6 is really usually where they shut it out. The public's betting that we do get a game 7. The early money that I'm seeing, at least from the recreational accounts, bettors accounts, it's on the Knicks. They're already tying in some of the baseball action with the Knicks. They're taking the points with the Knicks in game 6, and they're betting the Knicks on the money line. I haven't seen any sharp action just yet, but most of that has come late throughout the playoffs. Kind of like when the public knocks some of these totals out of whack or even some of the sides, you'll see them step in and fire later along with player props. That's where most of the betting action has come, at least from the betting syndicates on the playoffs. It's been in the player props. Like yesterday, I just had one player prop. That was it. We didn't touch the game. But I like Indiana in game 6. I think they close it down. Hopefully this line drops. I think it'll make a good money line bet. They don't want to go to a game 7. You know, that they don't want to extend to a game 7. All the pressure kind of is on them after winning game 1 and 2. But I think at home, they're going to be a tough out for the Knicks to beat them back to back. I think Indiana shows up. That'll be a tough game. But it'll be interesting to see if the Sharps get involved, because so far it's been nothing but public money.
Yeah, rightfully so. Right now, I don't think there's a ton of value on either of these teams, and the Thunder just sitting there waiting for the finals to start. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. I do want to stay on the basketball front, but first, I got to ask, what's hot and what's not? Do you know? Have you done this segment with Andy yet? Oh, no. Come on. Okay, so you're going to tell me what you guys have been crushing in, and what is a sport that you got to start laying it off on you're not doing the greatest in?
Oh, I love it. I thought there was going to be a nice commercial that was going to fly in there. You're segueing to a nice that I was waiting for it to drop. We've been doing really well in the props. Like anything that comes across props, whether it's WNBA props, NBA props, like I can't wait to bet those. College baseball has been good all year. And where are we cold right now? I think it's NHL. NHL is where we're not doing well. We've been very selective. Like we haven't had a lot of action, but when they do step up, they've gone against history. Like last night with Dallas against Edmonton, where teams in that spot just didn't do well historically. Hockey is where I wouldn't really be following the sharp money right now. They're not doing that well, but baseball's still good. I mean, earlier in the week, it was a little tough the first 2-3 days, but I think we swept last night. Baseball's just where it's at. It's like that sport where I have the confidence that over the long season, we're going to do extremely well. So I would say fade the NHL. Hot, that's not hot in NHL. Hot right now, anything prop, anything smaller market related, like the college baseball, the NBA props, WNBA props. That's hot. And yeah, that's what I would say is hot and not right now.
All right, let's get into some of those WNBA props. Nice WNBA slate today. As you mentioned, you've been doing very well there. 5 games for Friday. Anything coming across your screen that our audience needs to know about?
Indiana at -12. I saw that in multiple sharp accounts, and I saw Las Vegas -9, 9.5. So both favorites, both big favorites. Was the only thing I saw so far. Most of the props come in later in the day. Most books don't even want to put them up till like 2 hours before game time. So no one's really tipping their hand until enough of the credit shops have WNBA props up, because I'm finding difficulty finding a lot of these, to be honest with you. But they are on Indiana. They are on Las Vegas. They laid double digits with Indiana. They laid up to 9.5, close to 10. I think there's 10s even in some of the accounts on Las Vegas. So 2 big favorites in WNBA. Otherwise, it's been mostly baseball as we wait for the weekend and the playoffs in the NBA.
All right, let's touch on a couple of those baseball games. We're going to get into a little bit more in depth towards the end of the show with Teddy Covers. But any baseball that you've seen for today, or even early betting baseball for tomorrow?
Yeah, a couple games today, a few signs for you. 903 Milwaukee, +135, 130, and 125. They like Milwaukee as a dog. They like Minnesota as a dog as well. 923 Minnesota, +135, 130, +125, and also went over 7 in that one, all the way up to -130. Also in that Milwaukee game, they bet the over 9 up to -130, and then the over 9.5 as well, up to -115. Rarely happens when you go off that 9, are they going to bet the next number? Because I say it all the time, 7, 9, 11 are the key numbers in baseball, but they went over 9 to 130 and then over 9.5 as well, up to -115, kind of like they did in that Toronto and Athletics, where they went over the 8 and over the 8.5. And speaking of Toronto, they bet Toronto last night, came back with Toronto today, -145, 150, 155, 160, laying the chalk on the Toronto side right now. And I gave you Minnesota. I gave you as a dog and the over in that game as well. So far, that's what we're looking at from the sharper bettors for Major League Baseball. It's a little early on the West Coast, but it's starting to pick up right now.
Yeah, you can always catch VR in on Saturdays on Last Call. He's gonna be on with Ariel Epstein tomorrow to give you guys a look behind that computer screen as well. VR yesterday we missed you because you were filming for the UFC. Any insight there before we let you go?
I'm gonna give you a nice total that I gave out. Where's that bet I'm gonna give you? Oh, yeah. Zach Reese and Dusko Todorovic under 1.5. You're good to minus 200 there. That should be a minus 300 that these guys do not see 7.5 minutes. Usually I look for a regression and a progression to the mean when there's those outliers that are like, 7 of their last 8 fights finished inside the distance, and they're in a weight class where you don't think that should be the rate they're finishing. But these guys know they don't get paid by the hour, and 7.5 minutes is a lifetime to both of them. I think this one is going to be extremely violent. It's going to end within the first round. Probably Reese is going to finish Todorovic, whose jaw just seems like, as it usually happens to fighters as they age, starts to weaken and weaken. But on the flip side, he's got some pop as well. And we've seen Reese get dropped also. So these are two guys that whether they win or whether they lose, it ends in a finish. And I just think that trend continues. So I like the under 1.5 there. And I also said I'm on an island. I like in the co-main event, I like Klein as a dog over Gamrot. Gamrot's the name. I get it. He's been clamoring for bigger names. He's calling out bigger fighters. He wants top 3 guys. He wants a shot at the title. I get it. But he's overlooking Klein, who's extremely dangerous. Great takedown defense, pops a ton of power, and Gamrot's been hurt before. Every round starts standing up, and that's where Klein's going to have a huge, huge, huge advantage. I thought this one's a coin flip, whether Gamrot's able to hold him down and control him, or Klein's able to keep it standing and do damage and win the fight that way. So I really do think that's a coin flip fight. At plus money, you got to bet it. And I was able to get plus 140 or better on the Klein side because, like I said, they're betting Gamrot, and I think that's going to continue. Most of the MMA money hasn't come in because we had a week off from UFC last week. So everybody's betting baseball. They're betting the playoffs. But as the money comes in later today, tomorrow, because it's a later afternoon card, rest assured, Gamrot line's probably going to go up. So if you agree with me, you'll probably get an even better number on the Klein side.
Love it. This is what VR does, guys. On every single episode of whether it's WagerTalk's Last Call, we're going to have him back in the co-host seat for Bet on It this fall. We just finalized our new show lineup for that. So you guys asked and you will receive. VR will be back in a full-time capacity. I'm just going to let him do the same thing here on the NFL and college football editions. VR, anything that you would like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, tomorrow I got a free Steam room at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. You want to jump on board for that. We go over so many things. Like I'm there to answer all your questions that you have. Especially, I love talking about more like the concepts of money management and handicapping. But there's going to be more than enough betting information as well. I share a lot of the premiums that I go over with subscribers, and college baseball should be coming in as we're live. So it'll be a good one to jump on with. And again, I got a nice package up today, 4% plays in Major League Baseball. Let's just keep rolling. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And we got MMA and baseball and NBA over the weekend. So jump on board, head on over to my page. Don't forget, free premium play up there every single day. And I'd go back later again because I'd put out sometimes 2, 3 free premium plays on there when I'm betting multiple markets and have volume. There's a baseball play right now that doesn't go up for 2 hours. So college baseball should have more up there for you guys as well. Thanks, Kel.
All right, Greek_Gambler on your social channels, Greek_Gambler7 on TikTok, if you are so inclined. We're going to do some more free picks here on the show. We've got Kyle Anthony coming up next. And of course, Teddy covers, and then Andrew Babakitis from the Westgate SuperBook. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. And of course, jump in the comments section. Lots of comments about MMA. So I'm going to move things around. I was going to do around the world and talk about some of the free picks that we have up on the WagerTalk free picks page. But let's just get right to Kyle Anthony because you guys are chomping at the bit for this UFC. What's up, Kyle?
How you doing? How you doing? I got to agree with Gianni on that under. I think that is, you got two guys who have absolutely glass chins that have, they don't care about blocking punches at all, and they're both wild. So that's going to add crazy volatility to it. So that first round finish is probably what's coming in.
Love it. At Kyle Anthony UFC, if you guys are looking for him on social media. We have a couple of fights we want to talk about on this card. Kyle, this is always my least favorite thing to do with you is pronounce these guys' names, but you were so kind to give me two easy ones today. Erin Blanchfield versus Maycee Barber. You like the $2 underdog here.
Yeah, so in the main event here, we have Erin Blanchfield. She's minus 245 on the comeback. You got Maycee Barber, that plus 200 number. Now, both of these females are young, rising talents in this division here. And you've got, 26 years old, 27 years old, very young overall. But what you're getting with Erin, we know what we're getting here, right? She's going to be a wrestler. She's going to push forward. She's going to look to push the pace, really pressure you and crash the pocket. That's really what she does primarily. She has added in some a higher volume striking overall. But the thing about it, when you go back, you watch the tape, you look at some of the stats here, is that Erin is primarily a wrestler, but she honestly hasn't been that successful wrestling. Now, she is getting some victories here, and that's, credit to her overall. But, she had a recent victory over Rose Namajunas, which was, she was 2 for 8 on takedowns with 8 minutes of control time. But Rose is, not that strong, not very physical, and she can be bullied around. And that allowed Blanchfield to kind of find a lot of success there. But you even go back over her last 6 UFC fights. She is 4 for 33 on takedowns. That is not good, especially if that's going to be your main path and where you're looking to take this fight overall. And prior to the Rose fight, where she got 2 takedowns. Prior to that, the last time she got 2 or more takedowns was back in 2021 against Miranda Maverick. So it is just really hasn't really panned out for her. She has gotten victories. She's been able to, pull out some victories there. But you look at Barber, and Barber is going to have the physicality. She's going to have the strength advantage. And she's also, it's not the greatest look here where you have her getting taken down 5 times by Andrea Lee. That's not very good overall. But I think that she's getting better. She's starting to really, elevate her skill set overall. And I do think you did see, even in that fight, she was able to get up. She did have a good get-up game. She did have good scrambling ability. She was able to get back to her feet. And I think a lot of that here is going to pan out well for her. And if this does play out on the feet, I really think that, Barber has the better striking, more technical, cleaner combinations. She's going to be very aggressive. Both of these females are aggressive, but I do think that Barber, being the harder hitter on the feet, is going to find success and keep Blanchfield on that back foot. So I do like it here. I think that, yes, probably, Blanchfield should be the favorite here, but I think this number is very wide here. And I definitely think plus 200 on Barber is the side.
$2 underdog is almost speaking my language. Getting close. No, all jokes aside, we all love these underdogs in UFC. Kyle, I notice on the shows that I do with you, you primarily focus on some of the underdogs. Can you talk to me about what you're looking for when trying to find a fighter to actually win the fight outright as a sizable dog?
Yeah, well, like any other sport, we're going to put a number on the probability of, hey, can this, what's the chance of this person winning compared to the price you're going to be paying? And a lot of times, I think that's where there's just a lot of value here. Yes, you can parlay some favorites or you can look for that, but it's also really just going to be the opportunity to really find that edge. And I think that, the more we're looking at these underdogs, I think the pricing is a little bit off here. It's a softer market compared to a lot of the other sports here. And I think that's why the focus here is just really a lot better for me, especially for people that, some of my clients. So I do think that, the more we're looking at these underdogs and the inefficiencies in the market is really where you're going to find a lot of success. So I have found a lot of success, diving in on that plus money. I know you love it as well too, but, also sometimes, it's going to be trappy. You're going to have one that's going to seem way too good to be true. Me, I'm such a diving into the footage, diving into past fights, rewatching styles, and then putting a number to it and then seeing if the price is right. So, I definitely think we've got another one here we're about to talk about as a plus money.
I do love it. I think that's kind of what my beef always has been with UFC is I feel like it's such a chalky sport, but I really appreciate that you're trying to dive really deep into these fights and find me some of those plus money because they hit every single time. Like you have outright underdog winners. It's just actually finding them. Jafel, Filho versus Allan Nascimento.
Yes. Very good. Very good. So, and here we've got Allan Nascimento. He's minus 155. And the comebacker, we've got Jafel Filho plus 130. Now, this line opened up for Nascimento minus 120. Money came in, got up to about minus 170. And now there is a buyback here on the Filho side. Now, the Nascimento, I get why he is the favorite, to a certain degree here, where he's got grappling. He's a high-level jiu-jitsu guy. He gets to the ground, slick transitions, opportunistic with his submission game overall. But the big issue here is there are multiple big shining red flags here on the Nascimento side. And the first one being the fact that his inactivity, he just hasn't been in the cage much. The last time he fought was January 14th of 2023. So you're talking 2.5 years ago that he hasn't fought in the UFC cage. Now, since then, since 2023, he has pulled out of 3 fights in a row. And I think that is a bad look overall. And again, it's hard to understand, is he injured? Is there an illness? It's hard to get some of that information. But any way you look at it, pulling out of 3 fights over the last couple of years is just not a good look overall. And you also got to look at the fact that, ring rust is a real thing. You talk to any fighter here, ring rust is an absolute real thing. It's real in a lot of sports, that's the preseason. That's why all these things exist. So, for a guy coming in a very tough fight stylistically is very tough for him. Plus you look at Nascimento, he's 2-2 in the UFC. His UFC debut was 2018. So he has had 4 fights in about 7 years. That again is just not a good look. Why is he not fighting? Why is he not getting in the cage? And that just, again, at this price tag starts to be a little bit concerning here. And then you also got to add in the fact that, his 2 wins, his 2 wins were Jake Hadley, who's no longer in the UFC anymore. And in that fight over 3 rounds, he only landed 19 significant strikes, very low. And then he also beat Carlos Hernandez, who is, probably not even UFC caliber. So this is a spot here where not only is there issues outside of the cage, but also inside, he's not very active either. Very low volume guy, very, positional, very just kind of keeping you down. That's pretty much what he did against Jake Hadley. And that's really what I see is a problem here for him. And again, especially at this price where Filho, I think, is a guy that does have the grappling, does have a submission game, can kind of counter really the main path of Nascimento here. Plus, he's very scrappy. He's, aggressive guy. He's going to come forward. And I think that he can really bring it to him. So I think that this is going to be an interesting spot here. Plus, you even look at most recently for Filho is the fact that he's 3-1 in the UFC. His only loss came against Muhammad Mokaev, who was an absolute savage, and he almost finished Mokaev. So I think this is a great spot here. Another good plus money number here. And I think also the market's starting to see that, again, it was up higher. We're seeing that buyback here. I'm even seeing some, plus 120s out there now. So you definitely, if you're trying to get on this plus money number, I do think that the wrong guy is favored here. And I think that Jafel should get the job done.
Love that. Wrong guy favored. Take the plus 130 on the underdog. Kyle, anything you'd like to promote before we let you go?
Yeah, so I do have a 4% play up right now. Over the last 18 months, 63% win rate on those 4% plays. And looking at diving it right now, do have some plus money in there, do have 3 plays in there. Going to be looking to add to that as we get closer to fight night on Saturday. So I do want to see the weigh-ins here that are going to be happening, see how people look. But besides for that, we're ready to rock and roll on Saturday.
Love that. Kyle Anthony, UFC on social media. And we'll see him next week on Last Call. Not this week. I screwed up. The next big fight is next week, so we will see him then. You guys in the comments section are asking for some PLL. Maybe we want to see some Premier Lacrosse League. I did post my video up on all of my social media channels earlier. Of course, I've got some contrarian plays. A couple of the comments saying, if Dan is giving out PLL, hell yeah. All right. Let's bring in Dan for a few minutes before we get to Teddy Covers and Andrew Babakitis. Of course, we'll get to the WagerTalk free picks page. You guys can go over there. There is a ton of free picks up on the site right now. The Prez has got some baseball. Brian Leonard's got some baseball. Tokyo Brandon's got some baseball and more baseball. Dwayne Bryant, baseball. Gold Sheep, baseball. Ralph Michaels, baseball. So that's why we're going to talk PLL. You guys want free picks on baseball? We're going to have Teddy talk them in a little bit. But just go to the WagerTalk free picks page. There's at least 10 MLB picks up right now. Let's bring in Dan for just a few minutes. We'll talk some PLL because my Denver Outlaws are playing your California Redwoods tonight. And I think you guys are going to get your asses kicked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be real, Kelly. I have no allegiance when it comes to the PLL, as you know. Like you've been forced into being in the Denver role, but I just care about who makes me money.
I mean,
so I'm
like,
with.
It is just synonymous. Like you're a Broncos fan, you could be an Outlaws fan.
Yeah.
Like, and I can go to the Outlaws
and they have
games.
badass uniforms.
They
They do have some nice swag. But yeah, I'm with you. I think California. So PLL is kicking off tonight. There's a game at 6. There's a game at 8:30. Both of them are on ESPN Plus. Tomorrow we have a game that's on ABC. That's the Maryland Whip Snakes against the Utah Archers. But it's back this year. Kelly did an amazing job finding underdogs last year, contrarian plays. So it's fun to get down on DraftKings, FanDuel. Not at Hard Rock apparently.
Listen,
Kelly.
I did just tweet Hard Rock and I said, "Hey, where is it at? Where is it? I need to know." Everybody's talking in the comments. Kelly hates the MLB. We need Andy back. Don't worry, Andy's going to be back on Monday. I promise. I promise.
He will be back. Don't worry. And also, Teddy Covers waiting in the wings. Don't worry. Yes. MLB will be coming, John Doe. And who better to break it down than Teddy, who's going to have NBA and MLB for you. But it's a Friday. Let's have some fun, folks. I think both the favorites get it done here tonight. One of the things that I put out there, I'm not a big parlay guy, but I think you could probably do a money line parlay with Atlas and Denver tonight. I mean, you get like plus 140 if you shop around. That's not awful for a parlay. But yeah, Denver, I think they get it done. You can lay the goal and a half. Here's the thing, Kelly, is Carolina and California, they both have new head coaches. And in the PLL, head coaches, when they start off, it is a rough slog. There was a Hall of Fame coach who took over the Water Dogs last year, and they didn't even make the playoffs. So 0-4 are teams with new head coaches in their first game in the PLL. It makes a lot of sense. It's a different game. There's 2-pointers. It's a lot faster pace. The shot clock is different. The face-off rules are different. So even if a head coach is established, it's really hard to transfer that to the level that you're playing here. I think Carolina and California are going to have some rough seasons. One of the plays I gave out was Carolina to miss the playoffs. That's plus money. It's still at plus money. I would get in on that.
I believe we had California under last year, under wins. Didn't we have to sweat that a little bit?
Yeah, it got a little sweaty. Sweaty, but we got it done.
We got it done. Back? If we can find some of these season win totals.
Yeah. I would definitely look towards the under on them. I think there are some team futures, to make the playoffs, regular season wins, things like that. California though, sitting at 3.5, only plus 120. Forget that. That'll be we at least got 5.5 last year, Kelly, and it got sweaty, right? So even with the new head coach, I'm not touching a 3.5 in a league that, dogs cash on a regular basis. One thing I will say, I collabed with our friend Ariel Epstein, who's going to be hosting Last Call tomorrow. We were talking some player props, and one that we kind of ISO'd in on that's some nice plus money is tonight in that California game. Look at Romar Dennis going over a half 2-pointer. It's plus 135. All the guy does is shoot 2-pointers. So I think it was 8 or 9 of his 13 games last year, he had at least one 2-point goal. And the interesting thing with this pricing, he is their 2-point shooting guy, is Romar Dennis of the California Redwoods. Yet over the total 2-pointers in this game, the over is favored. Yet this guy's plus 135. It doesn't really make sense because if 2-pointers are to fall in this game, it's likely going to be because Romar Dennis is involved. He's chasing the guy who has the all-time record for 2-pointers. He's only 10 away. So I think he's going to be letting them rip this year. Look towards Romar Dennis going over half, basically just getting one 2-point goal at plus 135. A little plus money for the folks there, Kelly.
All right. I'm on the under in the first game. Shocker. Under 23.5 in the Atlas Chaos game. Yeah. And I do like Denver in the second game. I can understand where you're saying, hey, lay the chalk on both money lines in a parlay. It's a little chalky for me. I also lean the under, of course, in the Denver, California game. Dan, Eric in the comment section wants you to give him a best bet before you go.
All right. So if we're doing a best bet for me this week is going to be looking towards Liam Entenmann, the goalie for Atlas, going under on his saves. You can either do it at 12.5 or you can do it at 11.5. He's an absolute stud. This number is great. He averaged, around 12, 13 saves last season, but he's playing the chaos tonight. And with this new offense, they lost a lot of players. I don't know how much they're even going to be shooting on cage. So I just don't think the volume is going to be there for Liam Entenmann, who typically we would be looking to bet overs on. I think at 12.5, around 11.5, you can get that at plus money if you want to sweat a little bit more. I just don't know if the volume is going to be there. So the best bet for tonight, let's look towards Liam Entenmann going under on his saves, Kelly.
All right, Dan Newbert at Newbie Talks on social media. You guys can catch all of his PLL content over there, and of course on PLL Bets on Instagram and X as well. Gotta love the lacrosse and dart picks on the channel. Hey, listen, like Johnny said in the comments, if it wins, that's all that matters. You guys, not 5 years ago were we betting on Nicaraguan soccer and Russian table tennis, just trying to get through things. Okay. So I don't want to hear anything about lacrosse picks. Last year was really awesome, and we hope to run it back this year. All right, let's get into Teddy covers. If you guys have missed the opening line report, you guys are missing out, and it will be back Monday morning. Teddy, tell everybody what they can expect from the opening line report, not only throughout the summer, but once the football season starts.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the opening line report is something that I've been doing for something like, well over 20 years now. So we've got a pretty good feel when the NFL lines come up on Sunday night / Monday morning, what direction they're going to move. The opening line report is designed to give you a first look Monday morning, bright and early. We're going to go earlier this year, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you're going to get breakdowns of all 16 games, what really happened the day before, some of the key coaches' quotes, some of the key trends and angles to look at. And we'll also have the emergency betting alerts, where we could tell you with a relatively high degree of predictability where the money's going to come, why it's going to come there, what you need to bet now, what you need to bet later. So again, we start this Monday, and we're talking all season wins for the first 5 shows. We're going to go do an overview this week, and then we'll go through 2 divisions a week. Starting next week, myself, Andrew Martin. We'll take a little bit of time off in the dog days of July, and then we'll be back for the first week of the preseason and breaking down every game, giving you as much good. This is a show about information. It's not a pick show. But I'll say this. I don't know, there's a show out there that gets better info on Monday morning than Drew and I do with the opening line report. I encourage you, check it out this Monday.
A little look behind my new role at WagerTalk, doing a lot of stuff with the video team as far as like analytics go. And I said yesterday, point blank on our call, Teddy, I go, this is the first show to market. And Chris Allan goes, are you sure about that? I go, tell me another show, unless it's on NFL Network at 1 a.m. and I've never seen it, that is betting focused, that gives you betting information within hours of the number dropping, within hours of the lines coming out. I know that they start to populate now at Circa and some of the other books right after the games end, but bang, first thing Monday morning, Teddy covers, Drew Martin going to go through the entire slate for the upcoming week. I mean, I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be taking early notes. I feel like I'm just going to let Teddy be my clip notes, and then I can focus on my YouTube analytics instead of my handicapping.
Yeah. So let's put it this way. A lot of people watch the show who then take that information and then use it on their own shows. So I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, let's just give Teddy a little credit where it's due. But yes, I'll be sure to do that on this year on Bet On It. So Teddy's main focus is going to be the opening line report. Of course, he's going to be still joining us every single week here on WagerTalk Today. So Teddy, let's get into it. I mentioned a VR. What a pitiful performance by the Pacers last night. I turned it off in like the third quarter and went to bed because I was like, this is really boring. What are your thoughts? The comment section earlier was saying that they think the Knicks are still going to be able to pull it off and force a game 7. What say you?
So I had Indiana last night, and I haven't been more wrong in a game this entire. Well, no, there was one game that I was more wrong. I had a Heat first half in a game where they were down by 40 at halftime. So I do get them wrong sometimes. That being said, I'm still 13-1 with Knicks and Pacers bets this postseason. And what am I now? 17-6 for my last 23 NBA playoff releases. So while last night's performance was disappointing, and I was wrong. I don't like being wrong ever. You wipe it away and you take a look at the next one. What stands out to me, and I'm already locked and loaded with this play for Saturday for the clients. I'm playing game 6 under. And there's 2 basic elements to this. One is great data from Ralph Michaels that shows as the playoffs progress, It's not game 7. Game 7's trend under, but games 5 and 6 are the strongest under trends. And it's not first round, second, third, and fourth round, the finals, where long-term unders have cashed well over 60% of the time. So it tells us when we're looking at totals for this game, that's the first way we're going to look. Then we think about what happened last night and the quotes coming out of the game after last night. The Knicks figured out how to stop Halliburton last night. And that's a problem for Indiana. And not that I expect the same sluggish offensive showing for the Pacers here. I mean, the Pacers had nothing last night. They had nothing in the first quarter. I thought they might come out at halftime and come out. No. In the fourth quarter, no. I mean, Indiana really didn't bring it. All the pressure is on the Pacers now. All right. The veteran teams, and Indiana did it against Cleveland. Veteran teams find a way to win that game 5 on the road. Indiana instead kind of did a no-show. And there's certainly some thought that Indiana, after playing at a much slower pace and much less efficient offensively than they wanted to last night, they're going to push pace here. And I expect they're going to try. Whether that's successful or not is another question entirely. And that has something to do with whether the Knicks are making and missing shots as well. But we saw the pace slow down, legitimately. Slowest game of the series last night. We saw a defensive game plan for the first time this series that really contained Halliburton from New York. I like what Coach Tibbs has done in this series. Thibodeau's done a really good job this postseason, and that continued last night, and it cost me money, unfortunately. But under is the way I'm looking for game 6. I've advised my clients to look that way as well.
All right, we'll be looking at that under tomorrow, Teddy covers. Let's look at some baseball. The chat was asking for it, and I was trying to just push it off by saying, guys, there's tons of free baseball on the WagerTalk free picks page. Don't make me talk it like I had to yesterday. All right, fine. Let's talk some baseball, Teddy. Who is on your radar for today?
So first of all, it's baseball season. We're going to talk baseball. It's not that big a deal. I know baseball is not your favorite, but I like baseball. Baseball makes me money, and I know there's people out there that like baseball as well. So let's cater to the MLB bettors for at least a few minutes. I'm going to talk a couple of games here. Let's start in Kansas City with the Tigers and the Royals. I'm looking at my Odds Logic live odds screen right now. Detroit's a short road favorite. Let's call them -120. Total has been bet up, 8 at the open, now 8.5, even juice to the over in this one. And we're talking about a Kansas City team that really hasn't played particularly good baseball of late. They're 6-11 in their last 17 ball games, just avoided being swept by Cincy with a 3-2 win on Wednesday. That being said, they haven't won back-to-back home games since like the first week of May. So it's been a while. We got Seth Lugo on the hill, and Lugo's coming off a stint on the DL with a sprained middle finger, since he allowed 3 runs, 2 dingers, plus 4 other hits. So striking out 5 without a walk, 6 innings of a 3-1 loss at Boston. That was back on May 11th. Lugo's quote, "At this point of the season, it's better to get healthy and be 100% than out there than trying to push through," which I agree. That being said, Lugo hasn't been great. He's coming in his first start off an injury, and his team behind him isn't playing well. The Tigers are 17 games over 500, all right? They just swept a 3-game series against San Francisco. The quotes coming out of that locker room every day, positive, good. This is a playoff team from last year, a team that won series last year. A.J. Hinch, we find different ways to win. We've shown it over and over again that we're going to try to beat you with our 26 guys. And Casey Meyer's been real good for Detroit this season. Some of his advanced metrics say, he's due for a regression. I'm not so sure that's the case. It's certainly not in this one. He's coming. Now, he also missed time. He missed more than 2 weeks. He had a hamstring injury. He came back last Saturday against the Guardians, and he was dealing with the flu. Still only won't give up 2 runs, 1 earned, 4 hits and a walk, struck out 6. Hinch after the game, that was a gutsy performance by Casey. His temperament was very methodical, even keeled. 77 pitches in 5 innings. Only the one the 1 earned run allowed was on a solo shot. So it's certainly a scenario for Mize that A, he's not going to be on a pitch count here. He's already had his rehab start. B, the team behind him is better than Kansas City. It's Detroit or pass for this better. Better team, better starter, strong, excellent, A better team with a strong starter, and they're in excellent current form. Tigers are past. I think the price is relatively cheap, and it's minus 120, even up to minus 125. I would look Detroit before I look KC.
All right. The Tigers, Johnny Detroit's Tigers to be specific here. He's still in the comments section. I'm like, isn't it supposed to be your day off? What are you doing on the comments section here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel? Teddy, anything else you'd like to add before we let you go?
Do we have time for me to do one more? I got one more prep for.
Yeah, we have Andrew Babakitis coming on to talk UFC, but other than that, you got one more game. What were we talking? Red Sox, Braves, correct?
Red Sox, Braves. I'll go quick.
Okay.
Because Boston's a team that we just want to fade right now.
Don't say that. I need them to win their division.
They're not winning the division. You can sell that ticket and get your pennies. I don't see Boston. I mean, look, the Red Sox already have 6 losing streaks of 3 games or more this year. They've lost 5 straight coming into today's game, held to 2 runs or less in 4 of those defeats. Demoralizing. They were walked off twice in extra innings in Milwaukee this week. They're 5-11 their last 16. This is not a team I'm excited about putting my money on right now. All right. And Giolito, all right, he's got 3 quality starts, including a 7-inning shutout gem his last time out at Fenway versus Baltimore. But he's also, when he's been off, he's been lit up. In his 2 non-quality starts, he's given up 6 runs allowed both times, 5 dingers, 18 hits in 7.2 innings. The Rangers and the Braves blew him up. And when the Rangers are blowing you up, you're not pitching well. All right. Giolito had some good years with the White Sox. He had a rough end to 2023 with the Angels and the Guardians. He signed with Boston. He tore his right UCL. He missed the entire season last year. He opened this year on the DL with a strained hammy. He only has 5 yards. That's 5 starts. He's not good. He's a fade pitcher right here. And, by the way, current Braves have hit 375 against him, 64 at-bats. Acuna back in the lineup. He's a difference maker. Now, I'm not super excited about Atlanta, especially bullpen-wise. Grant Holmes has been the more consistent starter. He's coming off a 7-inning, 1-run gem against San Diego. 14 ground ball outs in that game and only 94 pitches. This is a guy who had a problem with walks in April. May's been better. He did walk 4 versus the Red Sox at Fenway less than 2 weeks ago. Still threw 6 innings of 3-hit ball in that game, and the bullpen behind him got lit up. Gave up 2 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th, and the dinger, the game-winning dinger to Rafael Devers in the 9th. That's the only game the Braves lost in this series. I'd rather go starter versus starter here. Atlanta first 5 minus 150 is the play that makes the most sense to me. So lay the chalk, look for the Braves take care of business against a slumping Red Sox team that, frankly, hasn't been very good. And listen, guys, we appreciate those likes. We appreciate the comments. We appreciate the follows very, very much. Thanks for watching WagerTalk TV.
At Teddy_covers on our social media channels. Teddy, can't wait to watch the opening edition of the Opening Line Report on Monday morning with you and Drew Martins. Get some early start on our NFL handicapping. We got Andrew Babakitis coming in from the Westgate SuperBook. Ski Profits in the comments. I don't know if he was actually there, or if it was the fact that I sent him a text message to come and everybody was asking for him. So if you have a WNBA question, ask him in the comments. I'm sorry. Maybe he'll do a solo video on some of these WNBA games today. Maybe, just maybe, if you guys ask him nicely. Dan, where's Andrew Babakitis? Hey, there's Andrew. What's up, Andrew? What is your new title at the Westgate SuperBook?
Risk manager, I believe.
Okay, that's fancy.
I'm not a big wig like John yet, but I'm working to get there.
Okay, good. I heard that you were next in the line of succession, but that's just what I heard through the grapevine. At Babakitis24 on socials, if you guys are looking for some more UFC from him, he tweets out a lot of stuff right before some of the fights kick off. So let's hear what you have for this UFC card.
We could start down at the bottom of the card with the Jordan Levitt versus Kurt Holloway fight. We did take some early sharp money on that Levitt side at 190. We opened that fight at minus 165. We're currently sitting minus 230. So that's a big mover on the card. Then the next fight, the Nascimento versus Filho fight, we did get some early sharp action on Nascimento. Not as much of movement. There has been some resistance in that fight where we've taken a few bets back. So that one's pretty balanced. But then the next fight, the Jafel versus Barber fight, we did get some early sharp action on Nascimento. Not as much of movement. There has been some resistance in that fight where we've taken a few bets back. So that one's pretty balanced. But then On the next fight, John's guy, probably our sharpest UFC wager or bettor, did come in and bet on Dusko Todorovic against Zach Reese at plus 250. There has been some market resistance on that Todorovic fight. So it hasn't moved as much as some of his prior plays, but we always look to get ourselves in a situation where we win on that guy's side. I know John usually sends you his plays. He's pretty good over.
Oh, you
over
know
the
that
last
John.
10 years.
You know that John does not actually ever send me those plays. That's the whole joke. That's the whole joke that is my existence with John. Where if I ask for something, I'm bothering him. He never sends me into the UFC winners. If it's a loser, I get it. You can bet on that.
He hasn't been as good, but he's still crushing us. Like, he just bets these big dogs. So, I mean, yeah, over time, it pays off.
And he's on who today? Or who tomorrow? I'm sorry.
He bet Dusko Todorovic at plus 250. You can pretty much still get round about that same price out there. We're sitting a little bit lower, but yeah, you can still get 240 or 250-ish out there.
I love that it's your job to pronounce these guys' names because I am going to fail miserably at it.
I'm not the best at it either. There's some of these names I don't even try to attempt. I'll just say the first name. And then the last fight, we'll talk about this fight as well. The Gamrot versus Klein fight. There was some early. This has been like the most bet fight on the card. There's a lot of strong opinions on both sides. The early respected money did come in on Gamrot. We opened it at 150. We got some bets, but there's been a ton of resistance. It didn't really move that much. A lot of customers are in on that Klein side. So yeah, that's been another one that's been pretty balanced as well. But yeah, this is kind of a dumpster fire UFC card. A lot of canceled fights this week. We're actually getting a ton of handle for next week's card with Sean O'Malley as the main event and it being a pay-per-view. So this one hasn't been as popular this week.
All right, so I'm assuming you'll be on next Friday to give us a preview of that.
Oh, yeah.
But anything, maybe you can give us a little breadcrumb for next week. What are you seeing like as a sharp bet maybe so far on, what is that, UFC 316?
316. Yeah, let me scroll down to it.
Davishvili versus O'Malley.
Yeah, I know we're trying to see if there's some guys who want to lay that big price tag on Merab, because you got to figure that the public and a lot of that money is going to come in on O'Malley, even though he did, get kind of beat up the first time they fought. But he closed the favorite in their first fight. And, yeah, now you can get like plus 250 out there. So you got to feel like the public, as this thing comes closer, I really don't see how this thing is going to close above $3. I could be wrong, but yeah, there's a lot of chalk on next week's card. So we've kind of tried to position ourselves to protect ourselves from these big parlays, write a couple dog bets early. And yeah, we've gotten some good handle so far. I wouldn't say anything too sharp. We did get a big bet on Sal Killed at the bottom of the card, not a super popular fight, but we're sitting minus 450 and we opened that thing 280. So we were clearly a little bit off on that price. That's probably the sharpest bet that we have so far for next week's card.
All right, I love it. Anything else you have for us on either the UFC card, anything that's going on over at the Westgate SuperBook? I will be there in 18 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty electric in the sports book with all the games, the conference finals and everything. The hockey's actually been more popular in the book than the NBA has been. They're asking for sound on hockey over NBA, which is killing me. But yeah, the NBA game opened up 3.5 yesterday. We're getting some early action on that Pacers side and move the 4. So I'm real excited for that. I'm hoping that series can go to Game 7. But yeah, if you guys haven't stopped by the book, come stop by and say hello for sure.
Awesome. Thank you to Andrew. Thank you to Teddy Covers. Thank you to Kyle Anthony. And of course, thank you to Gianni The Greek. You guys can catch him on his free Steam room tomorrow here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Sean Michael says UFC plays from Wager Talk has 10x my bankroll in the last 2 months. So yeah, here I am worried about John Murray texting me, and I could have just been following the Wager Talk guys. Thank you for every single one of you that hangs out with us here on Wager Talk today. And don't worry, the wonderful Andy Lang will be back on Monday. Again, sending him well wishes over the weekend. Thank you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button. Of course, make sure you guys subscribe and check out all of our other videos here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel.